What's everybody been up to?
Thanks for doing that. Okay. You grab the camera for yourself. Okay. Um, Thank you for joining us. My name is Rob Gordon, and this is the Entrepreneur, Small Business, and Self-Employed community on Google+. And this is a hangout we're doing for self-employed people and freelancers. We'd like to learn some of the best practices. And as I said in the introduction, I'm kind of here to learn myself. I don't consider myself an expert on this. I am self-employed. I do get gigs. Not good enough ones, but I do. And I want to be better at it. I don't just want to be better at it. I need to be better at it. So on this one, this is not a presentation. This is a discussion. And we're here to share our knowledge. If you're watching this and you'd like to join us, just request an invitation link on the event page, and we'll get an invitation out to you if you have some ideas. Or if you don't want to join us, just type them in there and somebody will read them. But anyway, let's get started. Let's start with introduction, left to right. And tell us what city and country you're in, what your business is, if you're self-employed, not self-employed, and anything else you want to say, just to hammer out some quick blurb. So let's start with Henry, who's in the Philippines, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Henry.
Hi everyone, Henry here in the Philippines. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm both employed and self-employed. I'm a bit confused one if I'm employed or self-employed at times, but I am employed. I'm the managing director of Company Matrix, so I handle a social network of sorts, and of course we also deal with digital currencies and virtual, crowdfunding stuff and so forth. And I'm happy to be here and talk about self-employment and freelancing.
Well, you've just raised a bunch. Well, first of all, your ventures are fascinating, and we'll learn more about those. But you also raised a good point about the neither world between employment and self-employment. It's not always that clear, and there's some weird economics I'm going to want to go into. But that's for the discussion. So let's come back to that, and let's move on to Joanna. Welcome back, Joanna. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
I'm Joanna Roach. I'm based in Ottawa, Canada. I have been a self-employed entrepreneur for the last 12 years and would not change it one bit whatsoever. My business focus is really in helping people reach their goals, basically their sales goals, and I do work on coaching them to achieve that, and I host mastermind retreats and cruise retreats for small businesses to excel their businesses.
Oh, that is so cool. I want to learn how to make enough money as a self-employed person that I can go on one of your cruises, because I just think that would be a total scream. I would love to do that. But before we go to the next third, where's your next cruise going? Is it
the next cruise is on February the 6th. It's out of Miami, and it's 7 days on the Caribbean.
Oh, God, how cool is that? I'm so jealous. Callie, good morning, or whatever time it is there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What city and country you're in and what you do.
I'm a freelance journalist. I do a lot of writing. I've been a teacher for over 15 years, K through 8, technology teacher, and now I just do a lot of writing about technology and education, changes, trends, that sort of thing. So I love it.
Well, how wonderful is that? I bet you teaching gives you a lot of experience in a lot of things.
Oh yeah, it does.
I managed a small motel a while ago. It was actually owned by my landlord, who had been a teacher her entire career, and it was a family-owned business, and everybody was the boss. I was sort of the boss, but everybody else was the boss too. But she had like what she called a group teaching method, where she really knew these techniques for getting people to talk together and work together. So I mean, there's some skills that definitely cross there. Do you agree? Or?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, there's some tricks that really work.
Okay. All right. Maybe we can learn some of those. Stephanie, my friend, is one of the moderators on the Entrepreneurs community, and we're just grateful to have her. And she describes her. I shouldn't be giving your introduction, but everybody loves your. You describe yourself as a recovering investment banker. So, Stephanie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and give an introduction?
Well, thank you, Rob, for running this hangout and for giving people a place to try to learn from each other and to address the different issues that we're all facing, right? Because almost all of us either work by ourselves, for ourselves, or maybe in a small team for ourselves. So I'm excited to hear what it is we're going to cover today and learn some different best practices from everybody else. I am actually based in Arizona, and my business helps business owners, small business owners, large business owners, get away from being afraid of finance and understand how they can actually put numbers to the goals that they're trying to achieve with their business. So I know it's something not a lot of people want to talk about, but I happen to love it. So I'm going to be passionate about the numbers, and I know some of you think that's an oxymoron, but I promise you it's not. So
awesome stuff. That's awesome. I mean, we all need to learn more about that. I'd like to start the conversation, and I don't have an outline for this, so if people know a better way to go about talking about this, just jump in. I'm not going to be dominating this. I want to listen more. But something Henry said when he introduced himself, or he's not really sure if he's employed or self-employed. There's some weird economics if you're self-employed, and it's particularly if you're looking at big clients. And my thinking is not totally clear on this, so forgive me. But it goes something like this: if a corporation can afford to hire anyone at all, then they want to own you totally. They want you full time. So the self-employment people try to fit into the, like, I've got this special niche of skills. And the corporation, if they have money, they have money. And so they just want to hire you totally. So I'm having trouble getting through to those. I'm having trouble catching big fish, is one way to put it. Somebody else just weigh in their thoughts on that. I'm not even sure if I expressed the thought correctly. Anybody?
I kind of have an opinion on that between self-employed and being an entrepreneur. A self-employed person really is looking that what they do for their business is they have one or two clients, and that is their client base, and they're self-employed. Their whole job thing is to create a job for themselves. Whereas an entrepreneur is a different sort of focus. It has multiple clients that have multiple different revenue streams coming in. So that's kind of how I see the total difference between a self-employed and an entrepreneur.
There's a continuum, isn't there? I mean, you have to start someplace. So I mean, we would all want multiple streams of income. We would all want to have a bunch of clients. But, you have to start someplace. You have one or two. So, I mean, I don't know if I wanted to get in so much the definition between entrepreneur and self-employed, because I think a lot of those people that are self-employed that might only have one or two clients now would like a bunch of them. I mean, I interrupt you, John. I didn't mean to do that. So go ahead and finish your thought. I just wanted to.
I agree with you when you're starting off with one or two clients, but if you actually want to grow a business, you've got to go way beyond the one or two model, mindset in itself. And that's just the way my philosophy is, because I also look at individuals who are self-employed, if we use that same definition, and they have one or two clients, and you've gone through, like you have in the U.S., a major recession, your whole income base is totally gone. So I'm all over the numbers too, Stephanie, so we've got a kindred spirit.
Well, and can I just maybe piggyback on what you're saying, Joanna? I think some of it has less to do with where you are on the continuum that Rob talks about and what your intention is. Because if your intention is really focused on the short term and I'm wanting to just get one more client, that sometimes can put you into a bad position. Whereas if you see the longer play, which is I want to grow my business and I want to actually, some people, and me, I'm one of them, it makes people nervous to think, and I'm going to hire people and I'm going to have payroll to make and all those things. But if you look at that as your end point, instead of just the short term, I need the next client, sometimes that can help you employ things that get you there faster, even though that seems counterintuitive. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you're spot on. I really do think you're spot on.
Henry, what do you think? I'm sorry.
That's my upper limit is I don't want to hire people. So I just want to fill my time.
I don't think anybody wants to hire people.
And I think that's great.
Do that. I mean, employment's regular. I mean, I think that's what's going on a little bit.
I agree.
The head of Twitter, James Altucher, who I love. He's real neurotic, but he's just a fascinating man. He said in one of his books that he said in 2008 that was just an excuse to get rid of employees. They wanted to anyway. And he says those jobs aren't coming back. You look at the job numbers, you know, they're just mediocre at best. A few 100,000 jobs created in the U.S., which is nothing. You know, so I'm not sure that the traditional jobs are coming back.
Yeah.
We're in some kind of weird transition period, and we've got to survive. You know, so I mean, just anybody's thoughts. I'm not trying to push the agenda.
Well, Rob, just one question. When I say hire someone, I don't necessarily mean a full-time employee who only works with me. A lot of what we've talked about sometimes in the entrepreneurs community and what a lot of people are trying to put together would be more of a flexible team. So when I say hire someone, I don't necessarily mean, yeah, you only work for me and we have a typical employer-employee relationship. I mean finding somebody who can be part of my team, and maybe they only work for me 10 hours a week because that's what I need them to do, and they're actually running their own business. And so what I become to them is a client, and what they become to me is a very useful part of my team, but it's not the employer-employee relationship where you work for me for 40 years and then I give you a gold watch and say, have a good day.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to have to go. We're all going to have to go that model if we want to grow. I mean, we're all, you know, I've said this before, but we're all too much in the lone wolf mode a lot of the times. And so, you know.
In the what?
Lone wolf mode.
Lone wolf. I like that.
And you know, we got to get out of it. And if that means, you know, helping each other on a little bit of a volunteer basis to start with work exchange agreements and things like that, that's great. But then, of course, you know, some kind of transaction going. We shouldn't be shy of that either. Actually paying each other. Henry, what do you think?
Yeah, that is actually what we do right now. My company started as a volunteer. We had volunteers from all over the world. Mostly 70% of membership are all Americans. But I have volunteers in the UK. I have volunteers in Australia. And all of them are independent contractors. So they are self-employed when they are online, but they have their jobs as well in the real world. So we try to help each other manage that time together.
Joanna, is anybody trying to get in there? Anybody want an invitation that you see on the board? Could you check for me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't think there's anybody who's wanting to get in from
Nobody
the
wants. Okay,
but
let's say.
Kirsten's here. Hey,
Hi,
Kirsten.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Kirsten,
Great
why
to see you.
don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your city and country and a little bit about what you do.
Okay, my name's Kirsten Hancock. I am a co-founder of a company called Blue Maestro. We design and manufacture Bluetooth products. We have a environmental monitor that we're selling at the minute that records temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure onto an iOS and Android app. And we're in the late stages of developing a baby's pacifier that records baby's temperature onto your app that you can share with medical professionals and keep a record of your sick baby's temperature.
Oh my goodness!
So that's really what I do. I have 3 small girls. One of which, my middle girl, it's her birthday today. Hence why I'm a little bit, a little bit chaotic in our house. So we've eaten lots of cake and not really wanting to go to bed tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We're situated just outside of London in Surrey, in the UK, and yeah, I'm loving what I'm doing at the minute. It's great to be able to balance family and work all together. And my husband's left his city job and has joined Blue Maestro. And yeah, so my passion at the moment is getting our products out onto the market.
Well, fantastic. So that's not like an Internet of Things. It seems like you're covering a lot of important areas, the health and medical, and that sounds like really an up-and-coming business you're in.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth in Bluetooth smart technology at the moment, and it's really amazing because my tech team are developing the technology, and we're really pushing boundaries out there so that we can make the best products for consumers, and also the baby's pacifier in particular, I developed. I had this idea because I had a sick baby, and I needed to take her temperature, and so this product has really come out of my need to look after my family.
Well, what a fantastic idea! I mean, who's the guy that had Y Combinator? Anyway, the founder of Y Combinator. Well, anyway, whatever.
Dave McClure?
No, that's the other
no, that's
one.
500 Startups. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. Everybody listening to this knows, but whatever his name is, he says that business ideas come from two places. They come either you're able to project yourself in the future and you see a need, or you see your own need, something your problem in your own life that you solve. Which what Kirsten just said. I mean that's something a big one. But I want to get back to self-employed. Kirsten, you're a little bit of an outlier, but that's fine. But what I'd like to just broach, because I'm not very good at it, is marketing yourself if you're self-employed. I was hoping, I didn't want the conversation to dwell on it, but a lot of those sites like Freelancer and Odesk, and somebody even mentioned Fiverr, I'm wondering if those are where the market is now. I don't have that much experience. I'm a little bit intimidated by them for a couple of reasons I might go into. But I would just throw some ideas on if you're self-employed, let's say you're trying to land some more of the corporate fish type people, or at least customers with money. How do you market? That's a dumb question, but I'll ask a dumb question. Anybody answer? Go ahead. I mean, just throw ideas on the table.
Well, one comment I would make just to you, Rob, about those types of programs, those types of platforms, is that they're really commoditizing your skill sets. And so the issue is then what you're competing on is not your value add, you're competing on price. Now,
well, that's what happened, Stephanie, when I looked at them, because, and I've really got to go, I was on freelance, I got to go back and finish my profile, but I noticed two things happen. One, you're right, commoditizing. You're competing with the whole flipping world. So no offense, Henry, but people in the Philippines can out-compete me, money-wise, and they'll be good. And then the other thing I was seeing was people who were kind of like miniature corporations who had gotten really good at it, and they could be in the States, where they would have a team of like 50 people, or say a writing project, and they, and they were good too. So the competition was fierce, but at the same time, I'm hearing more and more people, I mean, even on the entrepreneurs community, said, oh, I had to hire a guy. So I went to Odesk or Freelance and hired this guy. So, I mean, it's a tough, the whole freelance, self-employed thing is a tough nut to crack. Thoughts, anybody, whether it has to do with what I just said or not, just jump in.
Well, here's a way to look at that. If that's a direction you want to go, one way to look at the platform would be to see it as a marketing opportunity. And just like in a grocery store or in a retail outlet, you might have a loss leader, which is your $5 product or your $10 product, and you know that you'll have to do a certain number of those, but you're capable of producing them quickly. And what I've seen plenty of people do, particularly on Fiverr, is they get you interested because you can see that they're very professional, and then they offer you a higher level service on a personal basis.
That's a really, really good tip. Thank you for that. That's a really good suggestion. Other thoughts on that? That's a good one.
I use those outsourcing tools all the time. I'm a big Fiverr girl. I use it a lot because I'm not a graphic designer, and nor would I ever intend to be a graphic designer. But I can't afford to have a graphic artist in house. And just like Stephanie said, is like lots of times if I just want, like if I want a voiceover for something because I've got a sore throat and I've got to do something, it'd be $5 for like 3 words. I want an extra amount. Let's say I want 200 words, then I've got to buy extra gigs. But I've also seen as well I've only used Freelance. I haven't used Odesk at all. But like Stephanie had mentioned, there's lots of, I know people that are based in the U.S. they find independent consultants through Elance to bid on projects, and they're still, you might not actually be doing the project yourself, Rob, but you have other individuals, and you actually take a profit margin of that service. So, for example, somebody wants to do a writing gig, you're going to bill them at $200, but you actually outsource that through the Elance community, and they only charge you $60. Then you've made a $40 profit on it. Mind you have to manage the project, but that is a very common business model, and I can tell you, very common amongst web designers. Very, very common, and the same thing with blog post writers. Very, very common.
No, I mean, just an observation is I think those things are market reality now. I mean, Elance and Odesk have merged, so that's a big thing now. You know, that's like Uber or something, and that's now part of the market. And I've done the Craigslist thing. Oh God, I think everybody's gone that route and got the idiots out there. But what else besides? I mean, given that that's there, and maybe we have to deal with it. Maybe Stephanie's tip is the best. Just consider that a marketing thing. What else? If you're trying to market, if you're trying to catch at least some big fish, how do you do it? One standard piece of advice you always hear is, think of who your ideal client is, and then go where they are. Well, I mean, that's a hard thing to answer. I mean, but where are they? I mean, if a corporation wanted somebody, I don't know, for anything. I mean, I do contract project management. But where do they go? And again, do they only hire employees? What makes them consider hiring a freelancer or a self-employed person? I'm kind of rambling at random here, so somebody else come in and save me, please.
I probably get half my business from my blog. I have a very well-trafficked blog, askatechteacher.com, so anyone who's interested in me writing for them, they can see how I write by reading my articles on there. And I get calls from Intel has contacted me, and Cisco, and for onesies, and then magazines, online magazines contact me for articles.
No kidding. You call Cisco from a blog. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was shocked. I have to tell you, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And Intel, I was shocked at that too. So, but you just, they can see right there what I am, how I write, what my voice is. So it's kind of painless for them to select me.
Yeah, you know, everybody says to use blogs that way, and that is, that is a good tip. But there's another way to use blogs, and that's just to become an expert yourself. To not think so much about your audience, but just start covering a topic. I recently almost had a gig here in San Diego with a woman, and I know she got her gig. It's a big startup now, just from blogging. But she was in a really niche policy area, which was discount pharmaceuticals. There's some federal program to give discount pharmaceuticals to lower income people. And I think she just, a policy wonk type person, just started blogging about that. She's got a big well-funded startup now, doing some software for that. So if you just start doing that, you can set up a Google News alert on any topic. I did it recently for a technology called WebRTC I was covering. So I get through Feedly, I get those. And, without even knowing it, I kind of became an expert, not a real technical expert, on that topic without even knowing it. So that's another angle somebody could possibly take. Somebody else jump in on anything.
It's really interesting what Kelly was saying, because I've spent a lot of this week trying to contact journalists and bloggers and asking them to write a piece on one of our products in particular that we've just released. And they're very, journalists and bloggers are very receptive to new technologies. If you ask people to do these things, because people want to know about what's happening out there. So I think, if you're a social being and you're out there in the community and you're asking people to promote you through their blogs that they have, I think it is a very powerful tool. And if you can write, you should write.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's great.
There's one of those advice that I just need to hammer in my head. I keep hearing it, and I keep saying, that's right, and then I don't do it. So I really gotta get in.
Yeah.
can we talk for a second about pricing? Any thoughts on how do you should you have a fixed pricing set, or should you? I mean, should you highball it? Should you lowball it? Should people know in advance your pricing? Should you charge hourly? Should you charge fixed bid? Again, just a random sputtering out of my brain. So somebody save me. What's a good strategy?
Well, I'm sort of on the other side of it because I'm, I have a product rather than a service that I offer. But I always like when I'm looking for something to know what the price is up front, so that I can say, this is within my budget, or no, it's not, or can I stretch to that, or do I need to find someone else? So I really like to have it up front, but not everyone operates in that system.
Well, go ahead, Kirsten.
No, it would just be really interesting to know what the rest of you do.
Well, something that that I've heard in several places and that I've actually adopted is to realize that you can tailor what you're offering to the type of client that you have. And so, first off, it means you need to know your client. How much can they really afford to spend on you? But second, something that someone suggested to me is if you had someone who had all the money in the world, what VIP package could you put together for them? And put that as an option, even if nobody ever buys it. Then what you do is you situate the other offers that you make relative to this very high value. Because if you just offer someone one, they don't feel like they have a choice, right? But if you offer someone two options, then they feel more comfortable picking one of the two. And then the ideal world is you offer them three. You offer them the highball, which is not really a highball, it's just a high value. You offer them the very basic package, which is the low, and most people will go for the one in the middle.
It's kind of like the same principle as when you buy a car. It's, I might want to have, I don't know, a Ford Focus, for example. Callie, you might want the basic model, that's it, because you don't want anything else. But Rob, you might want to have the whole sound surround whole entire package. So there's, just like in the marketplace, I always say there's always the discount Dwaynes, right, and the high-end Harrys. There's a whole row of personalities of buyers that are out there. And I totally agree with Stephanie, is when you're doing a proposal, I also see very commonly that people give people one option. And that leaves the buyer in a take it or leave it position, and it closes the sale. Most of the time, it closes the sale hands down. So, and the other thing I would recommend is, do you know Alan Weiss? Have you heard of Alan Weiss? He has got a book called Value-Based Pricing. It is absolutely the godsend for trying to figure out what high end and low end you should have. And also, and if you're working in that realm, the idea of, key questions when you're asking your clients when you're engaging with them to find out what their needs. Why me? Is there somebody else in the company that just absolutely sucks and they can't do the job anymore? Why now? Is it your year end because all your budgets is almost finished? Or why now because it was been put on the project for so long and it's been sitting there and now it's become someone else's pet project and they have to do it? And the other thing is why in this manner? So you might have a product that's totally different. So why do they want to use your approach over something else that's been tried and true? So those are kind of the three major questions that I always ask when reaching out to a client. And a lot of that I learned from Alan Weiss. It's a very, very good read.
Well, thanks for that tip. And you kind of broached an important issue also. I don't know if I should say this is a question or a statement. I'll say it as a question. How do you distinguish yourself from the employees? How do you say, oh, I mean, you wouldn't say this, but your employees are a loser, I'm totally kick-ass. I mean, how would you go about couching that, hey, you're much better off to hire a self-employed guy than one of those loser employees? Obviously, that's not the way you'd express it, but how would you go about that? Anybody?
Just from a pure numbers perspective, Rob, you always have a big advantage because they don't have to pay 7.5% on you. They pay your invoice and they're done.
Yeah, and it's not a long-term commitment. I tried that technique with that woman I told you about with the pharmaceutical company. I just with me, I can start immediately, be doing productive work, helping you out, and you won't have the commit. You could hire an employee, and they could be a total idiot. I mean, you have to go through all this firing them and paying them, and So I also went the low risk route, and I was having some luck with that. So that's a good point too. The benefits, that you're not going to be paying my medical. The disadvantage to me is an advantage to you. So very good point, Stephanie. Other thoughts, anyone?
What a part of that I also believe, Rob, is how you value yourself and how you project yourself to your clients. Because if you pitch yourself as an opposite from an employee, they're going to hear the word employee, 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 and they're going to think of you as an employee, employee, employee. That sort of puts them in that. I believe that sort of puts them in that mindset. So that's maybe of where you're approaching it is. I'm coming in as the expert in this particular topic. I can get X done. Period. This is because you really want to be able to focus on what exactly that problem that they're having. It's not necessarily when I'm working with people. It's not necessarily that I work with them for years on end. They might have an exact problem at this given time that they need to be focused on and have a solution given to them. And that's how I approach it. I'm looking at the expertise that I'm bringing at this given time, and this is the value add that I have. And without giving my sales pitch, but
that's a really good point. So you're basically saying, I'm the guy or gal who can solve the problem. Basically, did I drop out?
No, you're there.
No, you basically have to understand what their problem is. You really got to ask some really key, poignant questions before. The proposal stage is the final stage because you really understand exactly what their needs are. They understand why me, why now, and why in this manner, so that when you're at the proposal stage, it's like, here's the options. Bang, bang, bang. Here's 3. This is the return on investment. These are your goals. So you really set yourself up for success when somebody comes across with you with a proposal. So if, like, for example, I remember. I can't see your name. Kirsten. There you go. So, like Kirsten, if someone was to come in to say to her, you want a new manufacturing this project, and your goal is to have it out in the marketplace from X period of time, then if you're looking at proposals, they're looking, well, she's already listened to exactly what I need. She understands when I need it delivered, why I need it delivered, and these are the solutions. It just really sets you up for success, and that's just been my own personal experience. So
I'll throw one more piece in there because I really like what you just said, Joanna. You're absolutely right. You are the expert, so that's why they come to you. One more piece in my case is because my blog is so popular, anyone who, if they ask me to do writing for them, I always publish it to my readers. So if they want to reach my readers, they have to do it through me. So that's one more piece I bring to it. Kind of along the same line you're saying, though, Joanne. I'm the expert in that area.
Okay, outstanding. I'm not going to try to go a whole hour or anything. I think I said 45 minutes. We're at 35 now. But I've already learned a lot from now. But what I want to start moving towards the close, or the close, yeah. Well, I said when I started this, I didn't even know how to frame this. What have I missed? What points, did you want to make about self-employment that I just didn't cover or I framed wrong? Henry, what are your thoughts? Why don't you start?
Well, basically, if we're talking about self-employment and we're talking about the best practices, there are a few tips that I can say here. First and foremost, you need to know what business you're in. That's number one. And then you have to keep your work and personal life separate. The third one is you have to get access to a lawyer and an accountant, because even if you're working, if you don't have those, you might be legally be, they can just sue you just because you did not do your project right. Even if you're working, you are doing that under a contract. And then also, you should also don't. One tip here is don't get yourself in tax trouble, and that's what the accountant is for. And then don't be cheap on your tools of the trade. Okay, don't download pirated software just because you want this software to be done on that one. So you also need to be licensed, using licensed software, because you know, stealing software is bad. You can download that for checking it out if it works for you, but you must buy a license for it. And then you always have to set a schedule and motivate yourself, and you also need to set your own budget and keep track of things, you know, and never reinvent the wheel. If you can use Google Calendar to set everything else in your on all of your schedules there that you need to follow through, then you have to do that. Do not reinvent it. Do not make something that is you know, that's complicated. All right. So I said I blabbered.
No, you didn't blabber. I think you're really like-minded with Stephanie, because I've heard her opinion before. You share a lot of opinions. But let's move on. I'm going to go left to right and get everybody to get their last point. So, Joanna, what did we miss here? Other points you want to make? Anything related or not related? I mean,
I just think it's part of being an entrepreneur is having a good positive mindset and creating yourself, and within that mindset is to have a gratitude journal, or every day to be thankful for everything that you have, because the more that you're grateful, I believe that the more you put it out to the universe. I know it may sound a little bit woo-woo, but the universe will come back and provide with you. So, and that's also with your goals. So the same thing is, if you have your goal is to make such an amount of target, that you actually write it and stick it on your screen in front of you. So it's actual. Yeah. It's not a wish. It's a true action item that you've got to get accomplished. So that's just sort of my thing about being an entrepreneur, is keeping the motivation and the fire underneath you to keep going.
No, those are great points. I'm on a little bit of a spiritual kick myself these days, and trying to get things done. The positive thinking, by the way, and the gratitude, good things to do, it's not easy. And positive thinking is a lot of work. but it does work. So we try. Callie,
you woke up in the morning, there's sunshine, there's coffee in the coffee pot, right? You've got your, I don't know if you work in your pajamas someday, you've got your power suit on, like, you know, you've got to be grateful that if you're not that type of a, no offense, Henry, but if you're not a suit and tie guy that has to go and sit by the water cooler and meet other individuals, you know, there's all kinds of things that you can be grateful for. You know, and you make a grateful that you made a contact. That should be another simple thing.
I watched a video about charisma recently. It was actually very good. I forget the woman's name, but it was excellent. But she said you're supposed to pound your chest like a gorilla to get charisma. You know, I feel decidedly uncharismatic today. She swears it works. A bunch of other people swear it works.
Well,
anyway. Go ahead.
Just one thing, Rob. It's not just the pounding your chest, it's the Wonder Woman stance, which the ladies will appreciate. It's something that they tell you to do right before you speak, right? You stand up and you put your hands on your hips and you're like, I am, right? And it seems silly, but it works.
That's what other people are saying, the exact same thing. They say this seems completely stupid, but it works. So I mean, I'm open-minded these days. I'll tell you if it works. Callie, what do you think about all this?
You know, if I would have said just what Henry said. Great list, all sorts of great ideas. I love it. So I really don't have anything to add beyond that.
Nothing at all. You just
I just keep moving forward one step at a time. I like the positive attitude too.
Okay, Kirsten, what are your final thoughts? Any topic, whatever you want to say.
What I was going to say is take one step at a time and always make sure you're moving forward. You know, just remember that you're on a journey. You're going to have ups and downs. There's, you know, rocky bits and smooth bits, and just keep going and keep that, you know, end target in focus and work towards it. And, you know, it helps if you have a positive attitude, because that's what gets you through a lot of the times.
Awesome. Keep your eye on the prize, and again, that positive attitude, which is a challenge, but we got to do it because we know it works. Stephanie, the floor is yours. Anything you want to say?
Well, I really love what everyone has had to say, and I think the list that Henry gave us is a great one. Unfortunately, what happens to a lot of people is they have a brilliant idea and then they have some trouble with the details, and that's where things go wrong. It's not that their idea wasn't good and it wasn't the lack of passion, but they didn't take care of the details and it ends up biting them in the butt. So while none of us like to mess with it, sometimes you do need to focus on the details or hire someone to take care of them for you so you don't have to worry about them. And I think the other thing, which I really loved about what Kirsten said, is you need to keep your eye on the prize, but I think it's important to have fun. You know, even with the Wonder Woman stance, if getting out of your desk before you send a proposal to a client and doing the Wonder Woman stance or the Superman stance or beating your chest or whatever helps you push the button and send the proposal, then do it. You know, I mean, no one sees you, and even if they did, who cares? If it helps you be more productive,
I sure will try that next time. Try spinning on my. I'll try spinning here.
Well, I say it because I have to do it. I mean, you know, people are like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Dude, it takes me forever to push the button on send from AWeber. It makes me nervous.
That's right.
So I got to do something." You know.
And part of that, Stephanie, is being confident in your own ability to be in control and to make those decisions and to move things forward. And that's what that is about, holding your shoulders high and knowing what you're doing and being totally committed and confident on your journey.
Yeah. And I think also, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Steph.
I was just going to say, I think the other part of it is taking away the feeling of, if it doesn't work, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, good.
You know, looking at it as, okay, so I tried this product or I made this offer and it didn't work out. Well, it doesn't mean I'm a loser. It means that I need to talk to the client and find out why they didn't buy, so the next time I can do better.
Yeah.
You know, I had a customer who was a Texas guy once, and I was having that exact same conversation. I was telling him something I'd tried that didn't work, but I'd tried a bunch of things, and a few were sort of working. And he said in this perfect Texas drawl, he goes, "Rob, if you throw enough shit against the wall, something's bound to stick."
It's true.
Interesting visual, but I'll take it. Guys, I'm going to wind this down now. I'm going to do whatever the opposite of an introduction was. If the people that are in here want to hang around for a few minutes and say bye wherever, that's fine, but I'm going to end the broadcast now. This has been a special presentation of the entrepreneur, self-employed, and small business community on Google+. Today we talked about some tips for the self-employed people and some best practices. We got some great ideas, a lot of good food for thought here. So thank you for joining us. We're going to try to do more of these. If you're interested in hosting one yourself, let us know. We'll try to help you out. So until next time, we'll see you all later, and this has been great. So thank you, everybody.